Anthony Thompson.
I played softball with Robbie Turner.
We're starting. We're starting. We're just talking about the 1988 Liberty Bowl team, the IU team that beat. Who did they beat there?
South Carolina, and beat them like a drum.
Where were they? Tennessee?
It was. I think it was in
Mobile.
Was it
Memphis?
Memphis.
It was
No,
Memphis.
Memphis. I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's Memphis.
They got a big full-page layout
Yeah,
media
it's
guide
like
on
the total yards were like 500 something to like 150.
575.
See, there he goes.
John.
Well, anyway, he just wrote the story. But I played softball with Robbie Turner on the Herald Times Angels.
Really?
Glorious softball team.
You guys are pretty good.
We won 5 league titles in 6 years. Not to brag, but I just did.
Not to brag.
But Robbie Turner was great fun to play with because for what all the rest of us was a single, for Robbie was a triple. So it was great.
The point is, those guys were here today, and they saw an IU win. What was it, 49-24?
Yes.
49-24 over North Texas, Indiana's final non-conference game of the season. IU went 3-1 in their non-conference slate this year. Pretty good. Of course, now heading into Big Ten play in earnest. Date with Iowa looming next week, but it's good to see Indiana get sort of find that timing again, get its passing game back in track. It was really a pretty balanced effort, all things considered, from the IU offense today.
Yeah, it was. They got the as you say, they got the passing game going. It was partially what the defense gave them, obviously, but they had a lot of short, high percentage passes early. It seemed to help Sudfeld find a rhythm. He finished 23 out of 29, which is almost 80% completions. Threw for 3 touchdowns, no picks. A really, really good development for Indiana was 2 of the touchdowns were deep post patterns to Shane Wynn. He got behind the defense. They got some one-on-one stuff outside. And once again, that's something future opposing defensive coordinators now have to game plan for the field stretch vertically that way.
And not only that,
as many people in the box.
They also did a good job of sort of mixing them around in different. They had him in the slot a few more times than they had in the past, and they also had him on the outside. So they sort of mixed him around in different packages. Now
There was that. There were a lot of big diversity of receivers. He threw to a lot of different guys. There was a misdirection. There was all kinds of stuff going on out there that was, from an Indiana perspective, good to see. And then also, as good as Indiana looked early, came out in kind of take no prisoners mode, scored 21 quick points.
Yeah.
The second quarter, kind of got into a little bit of a funk. And instead of coming out stale in the third quarter, they scored 21 points in the third. And after having a nice start with the passing game, they came out and just kind of ran it right down Texas' throat. Indiana had 74 yards at halftime rushing, and they finished with,
340-something against the number 10 rushing defense in the league.
So that was another thing that was good to see from an IU point of view. And beyond all of that, the defense came out and immediately set a very decisive tone. They had North Texas resolutely in reverse. After each team had 2 possessions, Indiana had 14 points and North Texas had -5 yards. Indiana got a turnover 3 plays in, a really nice nifty pick by Tigray Scales, the true freshman linebackers. The offense capitalized. Indiana went for an onside kick, got that, capitalized on that. And so I think the IU fans I would presume, had to enjoy watching the team coming out so aggressively.
It probably goes without saying, but it wasn't the first time we sort of saw the defense come out and set the tone. I mean, kind of goes back to the Missouri game, too, when he had Darius Layton there in the backfield. Just in that game, too, that they came and set the tone there. And sort of, you saw it today here, they really fed off that and really did a good job of actually capitalizing on a turnover before it seemed like once. I'm not sure if they did it at all before in this game, because they've had a couple interceptions.
Well, right. I mean, you mentioned Missouri. There was a big pick in the second half
by
Martin Murphy, and the offense ended up missing a field goal. So, no, today was better in that regard. It was better in a lot of ways, and it wasn't pristine. There was about a 1.5-minute period in the fourth quarter when IU got stuffed on the 4th-and-1 run, ended up busting the coverage for an easy touchdown at the other end, then fumbled the ensuing kickoff, which led to another North Texas touchdown. But given that North Texas finished with 24 points, and 14 of those came basically after the issue was decided, that's not bad.
Yeah, John. We got to get John involved in this. John was writing about the Liberty Bowl team today, so he was down there. You were actually down the field in the first quarter.
So that's what I mean. So I really didn't see a lot.
What were you watching?
I saw Shane Wynn was running down the field.
He made a really nice move there on that first one. He sort of just made a double move, juked the guy, and just went right across the wide side of the field. It was a really nice move from him. Yeah. That's what they got to really do with him. They got to let him get in space and make those kind of moves because he's not the kind of guy that should be playing the same role that we saw Kofi and Cody Latimer playing.
No, totally. I mean, Sudfeld even mentioned that. He said it's not just getting Shane in a one-on-one situation, which is great, but it's having it be out in space. Because he basically feels like, now Shane is too elusive and too fast. Nobody's going to cover him if he's in that kind of a situation. Look, North Texas probably isn't real great, although they were coming off a bye week, and the week before that they had scored 77 points on Nicholls State, I think it was. But this is a North Texas. This is a program. It's a well-coached team by Dan McCartney. He's been a good coach for a long time. The last time Indiana played these guys was down in Denton and lost to them. So let's face it. I mean, this is a situation where Indiana did what it needed to do today after having a disappointing sort of desultory game against Maryland the week before. I think the fan base really was hungry for something that looked like a hungry team coming out and just, as I said, being take no prisoners mode. And that's what they got today. John, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you thought about kind of the crowd reaction today. It wasn't a big crowd, but they had a lot to kind of get into, and I thought they were pretty loud, especially early on.
Yeah, the reported attendance was what, 40,000?
40,000, which is probably close to double what was actually here.
So maybe probably about 20,000. So I mean, they were pretty strong for
25 maybe, but yeah, it was
Assembly Hall crowd.
Assembly Hall. Well, I wouldn't say that necessarily, but anyway, I thought the vibe was pretty good given that. It wasn't a big crowd. It was a pretty cold day, but
the ones that were here got to see something that probably has never happened ever on this planet before. Tevin Coleman got called on a 74-yard run. I mean, I don't think he was laughing after the game. We asked him about it, and he was just sort of like, "Yeah, it surprised me because we said the guy who called him, he was a linebacker first of all, but he was a guy who
he
ran like a two."
He was some sort of state sprint champion in Texas. I think he was on like a sprint relay championship.
He was good in the 200. I saw that on his player page. But a fast guy nonetheless.
Yeah,
but he was sort of.
He wasn't your average linebacker in that regard. But yeah, it was still shocking. I mean, Tevin usually when he busts a seam like that, and it's like he set sail and nobody even makes up ground on him. But this guy not only made up ground, but actually tackled him. Although it took him about 10 yards to tackle him because
and he almost got pulled in.
Yeah, I mean Tevin nearly carried him into the end zone. So
Tevin said he was angry.
Yeah,
he's angry he got caught.
Yeah, no, he said he was a little, I guess, probably not as fast as he had a couple runs earlier that sort of, I guess, probably wore him down a little bit by that point in the game. But nonetheless, it's not often you see that guy get caught.
No, it's a Tevin Coleman, just Tevin Coleman is scary enough, and angry Tevin Coleman. That's something that most defenses have done. But he's kind of learned how to run angry. That's one thing I think about Tevin. I mean, you see him run through people now.
That's the difference.
He runs kind of angry.
He gets that initial contact and doesn't fall down. He pushes through, and I think that's why he's been able to be so good.
And I'm not saying he's an angry guy. I'm just saying he's learned how to play. He does seem like a nice guy.
He does seem like a nice guy.
But he's just learned how to play in such a way that he's just extremely forceful at all times, and that's. I remember early his freshman year, I was talking to Buck Sewer, who does radio for IU broadcasts. And,
we're in his booth,
and obviously he was a running back coach under Bill Mallory. Speaking of the Mallory teams, and he loved Tevin from the start, but he said one thing he needs to learn how to do is really how to run through contact and really take somebody on and run behind his pads and just sort of be physical when he needs to be physical. And I think we've seen that transpire now.
Yeah, absolutely. So from here, Indiana goes to Iowa next week. As we mentioned earlier, this is the rest of the season's all Big Ten for the Hoosiers. A game I didn't see what Iowa did today. Did anyone catch?
No, I'm sorry.
Today?
That one eluded me. So do they have a bye week? Maybe
I'm not sure. I wasn't really.
Wilson said they're 4-1 now.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe they won. Yeah, sorry.
Either way, I seem to think that this is a matchup that, I'm not necessarily sure it favors anyone, maybe probably Iowa, they're the home team, but it seems like Indiana probably matches up pretty good with this team, so this could be another mixed bag game. Not really sure what we'll see next week.
I did know, speaking of not sure what we'll see, I did notice the number 2, number 3, number 4, number 6 teams all went down today so far. So it's been an unpredictable college football season so far, and a very unpredictable Big Ten.
Yeah.
Indiana has tended to play Iowa tough and play Iowa fairly competitively in recent years, and I don't know any reason not to expect something along those lines. I mean, Iowa will be hard to beat and at home, and I have a lot of respect for Kirk Ferentz, but I mean, Indiana did what it had to do today. It's 3-2. I mean, I think most of us looked at the start of the season and said, well, if things go really well, maybe 4-1.
Yeah.
And most of us thought the one loss would be at Missouri.
Yep.
So it shows you what I know or what we know. But I mean, 3-2 is an acceptable start. They're halfway to bowl eligibility, and with over half the season to play. It's all Big Ten teams from now on. And who knows what that portends, because so far in the season it's been really up and down for just about everybody.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, though, Andy. When this offense is playing as it's capable and you sort of pair the improved defense, this team's fun to watch. This was a fun day.
I agree totally. I mean, as I said, it was an encouraging day. Once again, we don't know how good North Texas is or isn't, but it was a good performance by Indiana.
See if they can follow it up next week at Iowa. Thanks, everybody.
Hey.